Hello, hello, everybody. We are back for another great episode of Girl, Why Not You? I'm your host, Jennie Blackwood, and I can't even tell you how excited I am for the incredible guest that I have brought on, especially for you today. Today's guest is a manifestation and subconscious coach for entrepreneurs who know they're ready for their next level up, but keep finding themselves stuck, hesitating, or hitting invisible ceilings. Is that you out there? She helps entrepreneurs clear the subconscious and identity level blocks that cause procrastination, something I'm really good at, self-doubt, self-sabotage, and income limits, so they can finally receive what they've been working toward. Her clients have gone on to hit 20K months, experience viral growth, write books, and step into bigger visibility, not by hustling harder, but by shifting what's happening beneath the surface. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but the results haven't caught up yet, this episode is for you, my friends. It is my true honor to introduce to you today the one, the only, Kate Berry. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jennie. That was like the most epic intro ever. So thank
well, you deserve that.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. That just got me hyped up even more.
I'm feeling hyped. I got the chills and everything. Like, I'm ready to roll. I know you're going to help people, and I'm so excited to dive in today. So Kate is somebody who I actually came across throughout my journey, believe it or not. I am very inspired by you. I feel like every time I see you post, you're just so raw, you're so real, but what you say is so relatable. It's something that every time I hear you, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me, and I think that you make everybody feel that way. But you're such a genius when it comes to making huge changes. Something about Kate that I can tell you firsthand is that I actually invited her into my space with Social Grays, feeling like the clients I was working with were having a really big struggle when it came to mindset. We're so easily able to go to the bad place, and it's really hard to talk yourself off a ledge. And it took me a while to realize that your own mindset is truly dictating your outcomes. And so I saw that people were struggling, and I thought, like this program that I'm offering people, I feel like a manifestation coach could really take them to those levels that they're hoping to achieve. So I asked her to come on as kind of like a speaker to these groups. And first group she ever spoke to, we'll bring up Monica. I hope Monica listens to this. Monica decided, after hearing what Kate was about, hearing how she helps entrepreneurs to become this amazing badass they've always wanted, she decided to do a one-on-one with Kate. And so this had been an individual that had come to me, and she had been like, look, I've tried everything. My leads are bad. I'm hustling so hard. I'm not getting anywhere with this. And she was like ready to give up. And so I think you came to her in like the perfect time, actually, because after she met with you, everything changed. She went from feeling like things were too hard of a hustle for too little of a payoff to literally sending me things like, oh my God, I just booked another 10K month. I have 10K booked for next month. She was like, these leads, it's almost like some kind of faucet got turned on, and now all of a sudden I'm getting great leads. I'm not having to grind hard for them anymore. And it was in that moment that I was like, holy shit, like this stuff is real. And I think, for me, I kind of have accidentally manifested throughout my life. But now that I've like seen you, been on different platforms that you've been on, listened to everything that you have to say, I realize that I've just done exactly that. I've accidentally manifested things and even gotten myself to levels and opportunities that I could never have imagined. And so I thank you for that. And so seeing your work firsthand, I can't even tell you, like, everybody on this call should really just like turn everything else off right now and listen in, because Kate, I want you to tell everybody how you got here and how you're helping people today.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I just have to add to that story about Monica.
Please.
Thank you for sharing that, because it does make me so happy. And it is crazy because Monica, after 3 months working together, she even said, she was like, I didn't think anything was going to happen here. I just was like, it can't hurt. I have nothing else like to lose, like whatever, let's go for it and see what happens. She was like, I really didn't think anything would change. And I really think it is, like, to your point too, of like this accidental manifestation. It is kind of these simple concepts that when we break down what's actually happening and look at them and do them consistently and understand our minds, like even if we're not doing these crazy rituals or routines or waking up at 5 a.m. and doing the ice baths and like all
Yeah.
these crazy things. It's like just these little moments of understanding our minds can take us so far. So I'm really excited to like break all of that down and like a lot of the concepts that, I work with my one-on-one clients on and what I worked on with Monica and things like that to get to that next level. I'm excited to dive into that today. So
Me
thank you for
too. I
sharing
think
that.
something I love about you too, that if you're open to it, is I'd really like it if you could share with the listeners your backstory and why you ended up in this place. It's very powerful.
Yes, yes, of course. So my story, I always, when people are like, how'd you get into this? I'm like, do you want my whole life story? Because literally every single thing played a role in getting here. But I'll try to keep it, not the whole episode long.
We're here for it, girl.
Yeah. So growing up, my dad struggled with alcoholism. So I obviously was impacted by that. But more than just the impacts it had on me, I also just was always trying to like get him to see the potential I saw in him. So I kind of just naturally, like accidentally kind of developed this like fifth or how many sense? Sixth sense, not we already have five, sixth sense of like perceiving people's emotions and trying to kind of get them to see what's possible and understanding like what are you thinking that's causing you to think like you can't do this or this isn't possible for you.
Right.
And so go like watching my dad go through that, and then I grew up to have chronic anxiety and panic attacks and was just super anxious all the time and like would never foresee myself doing what I do now.
Yeah.
But as I started to kind of get into personal development myself and wanting to understand why I was responding this way, I just like always had this pull towards personal development, towards our minds, the psychology, the neuroscience, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
And so I originally wanted to be an addiction counselor. Then I was just going to be a therapist. And, before I went to college, I kind of got talked out of that. People were like, you're not going to make a lot of money. You're not going to find a job you like. And I was, 17. So I was like, all right, what do I know at this
Yeah.
point? You're probably right. And so I ended up going to school for marketing. I graduated, got a job in marketing, and I was just immediately like, there's just no way I'm doing this for 50 years. This isn't what I want to do. I still have
Yeah.
this draw, this pull to help people. That's my passion. Like, and all of those things. So I had found a certification for life coaching, gotten certified, started working with clients, and then kind of developed from there in terms of getting more into specific manifestation stuff, subconscious work, identity work. And as I was building my own business, I realized, oh my gosh, like we all, and talking to other entrepreneurs, it's like we all have these thoughts that come in our head or these doubts or these blocks where it's like someone could tell me exactly what I need to do. Like someone could give me the exact steps they gave someone else to hit, 6 figures or whatever it is, but I'm not getting the same results, or this isn't working for me, or I can't bring myself to do this.
For
So
sure.
I kind of then married like the business and the mindset piece, because I was like, well, if I want to help people kind of pursue their dreams and really follow this pull that I had been following, they need to understand that these obstacles they're facing aren't personal. They're not true to them. They're not reflective of what they're capable of. It's just our mind's kind of natural mechanisms.
For sure.
So that's how we got here.
I love it. And you know what else you said? You were someone who listened to that nudge. I just talked about that in the last episode. It's just when you feel like you're meant for more, you got to follow that. And now, as a manifestation coach, you understand that more than ever before. That's huge. So I guess when you think about people that you've worked with and whatnot, you say it's not a strategy problem, it's an identity problem. What does that mean?
Great question. So kind of adding to this idea of like, and even, you mentioned this too earlier, where it's like, all right, everyone's kind of in my program, or we see this a lot with like business courses, programs, all these things where it's like, people they can pay for the answers. They can Google the answers. They can pay a mentor to tell them what to do. They can ask ChatGPT for like a play-by-play of what to do. But that process of actually bringing themselves to do it, or even if they are doing it, they're hustling, but they're not seeing the results,
Yeah.
there's these two kind of buckets that usually come when we look at it being an identity problem. So, everyone can get the same strategy. We can all find the answers.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to these two main like subconscious pieces, which one is I can't even bring myself to be consistent. I can't, I keep procrastinating. Things keep coming up that distract me or pull me away. And it's like we just can't find the time or make the time or energy or whatever, or money, whatever it is to stay consistent with something. Or we have the other end of the spectrum where it's like, okay, I am hustling. I am doing everything that everyone's saying I should be doing. But, and even like the example with Monica, where it's like, well, the
Yeah.
leads aren't good. These things still aren't working. People aren't buying. People don't want to pay this much, and we're just not getting the results that we were told or that we think or we know we're capable of or we thought we would get.
Yeah.
And so both of those things, the strategy can be the same. You can know what to do. You can be doing what you know you need to do. But our subconscious, our identity, if we don't see ourselves as someone who is capable or worthy or deserving of that result, or we don't even feel safe in having that result, like let's say, we've always been in survival mode, or we've grown up and, we just never had a lot of money, or we weren't used to being seen, or we got, made fun of one time for posting on social media, or like in second grade for showing our art or something, these little experiences feed into what we perceive as safe. So if we are looking at like, okay, I want to start this business. This is going to be so good for me. I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
But our subconscious is seeing like a million steps ahead. And it's like, well, actually, if you, start getting these leads, or you start getting on these calls or posting on social media, that might lead us to rejection or failure or making a lot of money. And that scares me. So if our brain perceives like that could happen at any point down the road, it's just going to stop us as soon as it can and create these doubts in our mind where it's like, don't even try, it's not going to work, or just, manifest these other things in our life that'll keep us distracted, and it'll keep us, getting those, not energetically aligned leads that are coming in and aren't converting, or people that are like, this is too expensive, this is stupid, I don't care what you have to do. Like,
Yeah.
we'll keep attracting these things to confirm that narrative that we're, we can't do it because we're actually afraid, or our identity isn't aligned with those results yet.
It's so crazy, especially like I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And I think that that's a part of it. When you become an entrepreneur, self-doubt is like your new best friend, right? Even though that's the friend you never wanted. But it's true, it's constant ebbs and flows, and it's so hard to not get into your own head. It's so hard. I mean, things could be cracking one day, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like this is going to the next level. And then like the day after, you could be like, oh no. Is everything imploding? I think that's like the craziest thing about entrepreneurs. It's like the ride you're on, right? But you're right. I mean, I think it's like you almost have to live delusionally, truly. And I want you to talk a little bit more about that. But like living delusionally is like thinking and believing that your life is a certain way, even if it's not, and then watch it unfold and watch it happen. Can you tell people what that means to live delusionally?
Yes, I love this question. And this is, I'm so glad you brought that up because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. But it is really this idea. And I always like a lot of people, comment on my TikToks or like message me and be like, I really want to manifest like this specific person or like this thing overnight or whatever. And I always like to say like, I'm like on the level of like soul level manifestation, like long term. And so when people say like be delusional, it's like you want to be delusional, but you have to also be ready to like be delusional for a long time, and be delusional when everything in your reality is basically showing you the opposite over and over and over and over and over again.
That is so true. It's not like a quick hit oftentimes.
No.
Yeah.
And that's like in entrepreneurship, oftentimes it is this pull that we have. It is this like soul calling that's bigger than just like, oh, I want to hit a 10K month, or oh, like I want to do this like quick overnight thing.
Yeah.
It's like we have this life that we see that's bigger than us. And if you have that calling, that pull, that just kind of knowing in the back of your head, like I've had this knowing since I was probably like in like a teenager, like 16, 17,
So cool.
18. I just always knew, I was like, I feel like I'm going to be famous. I feel like I'm gonna like
Yeah.
make a lot of money. I feel like all these things, or even when I was like 5 or 6, like I was like, I feel like I'm gonna be an author. And I just never knew what it would be about or what it would be for, or how I would do that. But I just always in the back of my mind knew that. And you don't really see it start to piece together until you really allow yourself to admit that and
Yeah.
admit that it's not crazy to say that. And so that's like where the delusion a little bit comes in, is you have no proof of it. Like
Right.
when you decide that, you have no proof in your reality. There are no results yet, but in order to get the results, you have to start showing up that way first. And I always give, like a silly example. Like if you want a podcast with 1 million listeners, or a TikTok account with 1 million followers, you have to start showing up and posting, or recording or doing whatever, like you already have that, right? If you
Right.
never started the account, if you never started posting, how would anyone ever follow you? How would anyone ever find you? How would you get there? And so it really is like just trusting that knowing is like your biggest proof. If you have that calling in you, like finding other people to like let you know that means something. Like that feeling you have is the biggest piece of evidence you need to move forward. And I think so often we are, bouncing off of real life or people that, are closest to us that are like, maybe you should do that. Like even, when I was going to college, it's like, well, maybe this would be a better route or make more
Yeah.
sense. Like, people care about you. They want to see you do the best. Like they're saying it out of love. But the best piece of advice that I've ever heard was listen to people who are closer to your goal, not necessarily closer to you. Because the people who are close to you, they care about you, but they might not feed the delusion, because they might
Yeah.
not see or ever thought or felt that what you want to happen in your life, they might not have ever even imagined that or thought about that. So
Totally.
I think it's really, knowing that calling you have, that pull, is the biggest piece of proof you need to know it's going to work out.
Yeah. That is so true. I can look back now, like before I even started Social Grays, I was in process of it, and I felt like something good was going to come out of it. So I kept pursuing it. But I can't even tell you, like as I was climbing the ladder, how many very close friends of mine, I mean, like even down to my husband and best friends and stuff, were like, do you really think that you should be trying to put all these eggs into different baskets? Because at this time I was doing real estate as well. I had all kinds of things happening, and people were kind of like nicely, but like dimming my light. Like maybe you should, instead of putting focus into all these things, maybe you should like really just focus on real estate and put everything there and just see, that's a big moneymaker right there. And as much as I had people trying to tell me that it was a bad idea, it's like you're saying, I knew that I was on the path to greatness, and I didn't want to let anybody else's opinion get in the way of that. And so I think that's something else. It's really important who you're surrounded by. But I think always just listening to your intuition is huge. Something that you taught me a long time ago was that our brains are wired to keep us safe. And so you have to realize, though, in your reality of being safe is your reality that you're unhappy with. And so even though comfortable feels safe, you're only comfortable because it feels scary to jump outside your current norm and try something new. But that's really where the growth happens. That's where the magic comes in. And so if you can get to your place of going, okay, I don't want to do this because it's scary. I don't know how. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know the steps to take. And realize that's your brain kind of trying to be like, hey, you know what, girl, let's just sit right here. We're good. Just know that is going to limit you from getting to these places that you're dreaming about. And so, can you kind of speak to that a little bit? Like our really terrible abilities to keep ourselves in a place of misery.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think always just becoming aware of this, it just makes it so much easier to move through, right? Because we'll still have those feelings or that voice come on that's like, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe this is like not safe, or maybe this isn't a good idea, or maybe it's not going to work. But once you know that's not, because I think so often we hear that and we're just like, oh, you're right. That's true. Like everything I hear in my head is 100% true.
I'm being dumb.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like of course. But once we realize that our brain is wired, like you said, to keep us safe, and to our brain, safe equals like the known, nothing new, no change. Even if where we are, like our brain will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven, just because it knows how to navigate this. It knows, like, it feels comfortable here. And so whenever we try something new, whenever we go to change, whenever we go to start something, it is natural. Like, it is a human, healthy response. It's a survival response. It's a sign that our brain works,
Yeah.
that we're going to have this doubt come up, and we're going to, want to take it personal. We're going to want to make it mean something about us when we don't know that that's just what our brain does. And
Right.
something that's really helped me kind of understand this, and I'll give a little bit of an analogy here. So I always like to think of like my human self and my soul self. So our soul self, right? Like, we came down from wherever we came down to like get to earth and be like, all right, I have these dreams. I have these things I want to do. Like, I want to, come here and do this. And this is the analogy I give. It's like when we play Mario Karts, right? Like, Mario Karts would not be fun if we we drove 2 feet and we came in first place, crossed the finish line every single time. And there was no dodging of the banana peels and like getting to like upgrade our cars with like faster motors along the way after we win, or like getting, those little cubes and upgrades and all that stuff. Like, it
Real
wouldn't be
nostalgia
fun,
happening right now. I need to go
right?
play Mario Kart after this.
Right? But it's like Mario Karts would not be fun for us if we just drove 2 feet and won every single time. Like,
Sure.
the journey, the challenge is what makes it fun. And so for our soul self, it comes into the human experience, and the human experience is limited by design. So our human self is wired for survival. We're wired to, create this doubt or create these thoughts in our head that are like, I don't know if this is going to work, blah, blah, blah. And I always like to think of like rewiring our mind as
Sure.
like upgrading your car in Mario Kart.
Yeah,
Like,
I
so
like
you
that.
drive along, and then you're like, oh, I can add this new thing. Like, I still have the same car, I'm still on the same path, but like I'm improving, my likelihood of winning. And so when you can understand that you have like your human self and your soul self, and they operate in different ways, it makes it easier, at least for me and a lot of my clients. So hopefully it'll resonate for some of you guys as well. But it makes it easier to understand these emotions that we have, because so often we'll get that doubt and we'll just assume this is true. I must not be meant for this. This pull that I have must actually not mean something. But I always tell myself, I'm like, all right, this is like my soul telling me what I want. It's pulling me towards the what. And now it's up to me to like wire my human to figure out like the how.
Yeah.
And as I start moving towards that goal, my human, she's going to freak out a little bit, and she might cry, and she might, be scared and upset and have all these thoughts that are like, girl, you suck. What are you talking about? You can't do this. But I just let her have her moment. Like I always say, I'm going to let my human freak out for a second. That's okay. That's normal. That's
Natural.
healthy. Yeah, but my soul still knows the what, and my soul is still going to guide me here. So I can know that this is true, that I'm meant for this, that this is going to happen for me, and still have these human, emotional, scary responses. Like, both of those things can be true. It's not an either or. It's not an, oh, I should feel confident in this, or I shouldn't be scared, or I shouldn't be uncomfortable or struggling or having a hard time making this happen. Because, if it was meant for me, then it would just be so easy. It's like, no, both of these things can be true. It can be meant for you on a soul level, and your human can still freak out.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that both of those things can be true makes us all feel a little less crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And if we ever do play Mario Kart together, I'm just calling dibs on Princess Peach, just right now. That's
okay,
my girl.
I'm a Yoshi girl.
Okay, you're
girl.
a Yoshi.
So that's perfect.
See, we vibe so well. I love that, and it's true. I like how you show kind of the parallel between the two, and it's hard to imagine that. I think a lot of people, when you say manifestation, I think people think like it's some kind of hocus pocus or something, but it's really not. And I kind of want you to explain that. It's really about like getting rid of limiting beliefs, getting rid of the self-doubt, emerging into, like you're saying, that Delulu state. But give us an example when it comes to that, of maybe a client or two aside from Monica that really stands out to you, like what they were like when they came in to your program. We're going to talk all about Kate's program, by the way. But when they came into your, manifesting for CEOs, what were the problems in the beginning? What were the struggles? And then what did you see manifestation change for them?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this question. And I have the perfect example of a client that just came to mind, because she is someone I started working with about a year ago at this point, and she went through my 3-month program, the Manifested CEO. So she was an author, and she came in and she was like, I'm just kind of struggling with consistency and confidence, and like really like I have these big goals and dreams of, being an author, opening my own like bookstore and coffee shop, and just like the whole vision. But it was just like kind of like paralysis by analysis, where she was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I can't stay consistent. I don't feel like this is possible. Like kind of just all of these limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because this is the perfect example of, usually there's one rooted belief that, affects our money, our love life, our business, like our friendships. It usually is just like all kind of wrapped up into one. And so when we kind of unpack, maybe what's coming up in business, like these limiting beliefs that come up in business of, sorry, my bangs are in my eye.
Nobody likes that. They look great.
Thank you. But so she would have these, limiting beliefs come up of just like, I don't see myself as good enough to, be a New York Times bestselling author. I don't see myself on that level. Like I see these people as being above me, or, just a lot of this like identity level work that we went through. And so a lot of our sessions were focused around writing, around the book, but, we would unpack other things that came up, because it's like, well, why don't you feel, good enough for this or that, or why don't you think you can make this much money or have this be easy? Like what, just all kind of unwinding all these beliefs. So naturally, it's like, oh, well, one time someone said this to me or this happened and blah, blah, blah. But through our 3 months working together, she, wrote her book. She did all of these things. She had all these wins. And
that's huge.
We just started like check-ins again. She was like, all right, I'm ready to like, just get back on the horse and like, have our check-ins again. And so we started, doing these monthly check-ins again, probably a couple months ago. And she came back, and it had probably been about 6 months since we had met, and, we were in touch and whatnot, but we got on this call and she's like, I got into my dream relationship. I just got my dream job. Writing is going so well. I'm moving. Like I'm making money. Like all of these things. Like it was insane, and it gives me chills to think about it, because
that's amazing.
Yeah, because it is like when you do that identity level work, it impacts, like even if we're just focused on your business, it will have this like beautiful butterfly effect on every area, because we really get to those root beliefs of like, why don't you think you can have all these things? Why don't you think this can be easy for you? And why do you think you have to prove yourself or earn these things? It's like, no, we all can just have this beautiful, loving, like flowing, overflowing life of, whatever's on our heart. Yeah. So that is kind of my favorite example, because it was like, girl, like a year ago, none of this existed. Like where it was, not a good job, not a lot of money, not a good living situation, no relationship, like just low confidence, all these things. And fast forward less than a year later, it's like a complete 180. And I think it also is just so cool to never underestimate like how much your life can change when you just start to become aware of some of these things.
You're so right. And it's really cool to hear those stories, because I think that when people see people who are successful, they just assume everything came easily, that they were just made for that it was just, it would be different for us, right, if we tried to do the same thing. But that's so not the case. Like people go through all kinds of different struggles that we never know about, and so it's really how you choose to navigate your own struggles or your self-doubts or anything that is keeping you held back. It's how you navigate it that's really going to make the change. And, when you talk about the work that you do with people and how you're like, oh my gosh, a year later she came back, these are all the things she's changed. But look at her, even though she's kind of hit that point where she's feeling like, oh my God, I couldn't be any happier, she's also saying, but I still realize that there's some work that needs to be put in. And she's seen how what you do and what you teach can really make her life better than it's ever been. And so she's like, hey, I'm going to put more time here because I don't want this to be like a one and done. Like, it's kind of like if you think of a car being maintenance, you buy it, it comes out of the shop, it's amazing, right? But like, if you don't maintain that car, it's going to run down and eventually it's going to break. And so routine maintenance on yourself in all kinds of different ways is so incredibly important. Something that I've had to learn too. I'm the first one to preach it, and I'm probably one of the last ones to actually implement it because, it's like, I'm like, I got this, right? But it's important to realize that you are like, so close to being able to get to greener grass. You just have to put in the work. And this isn't something that we're necessarily naturally born with the ability to do on our own. It's like, anything we want to be better at in life, like we have to get more education. We need experience. We can't just be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here with my sage and sage myself and like everything in my life is going to get better. Although I will say I've tried that too. And I'm the first to tell you it doesn't work. But, there's just steps that we need to take consistently to be our best selves. And I'm so proud of that person that you worked with. And I'm really proud of you because you were kind of like a catalyst to her. She was like, look, help me. I'm desperate. I need somebody to help coach me into this. And that's exactly what you did. And now look at her. Her life is forever changed because of you. So I think that that's huge. Every single thing that we do, it's like talking about the butterfly effect, right? It's like you having those voices inside of you when you were younger then puts you in this position where now you're changing your own life, but you're also now this catalyst to change so many other people's lives. And so I love that about what you do. It's kind of like therapy in a way, but it's like a way to coach through things that are hard. Confidence is something that doesn't come naturally for a decent amount of people. And so being able to find confidence in other ways is huge. I love that. So you work with a lot of CEOs. Is that like, would you say that's kind of like your biggest clientele when it comes to like, obviously you do love relationships, all those things, but are CEOs kind of like your bread and butter?
Yes, I would say entrepreneurs, whether, you're in the CEO role or you're just on like a creative endeavor, you have that pull, authors, content creators, influencers, like creatives,
Entrepreneurs in
anything
general.
that falls.
Yes.
Yeah. I just love helping people because again, it's that pull that we all have towards something. It's like, I want you to see that is in you for a reason and that's possible. And I always say it's like, we all have different dreams for a reason. Like not all of us want to be a 5-star chef. Not all of us want to be an author or a painter or an actress or whatever. Like we all have different things that we want because like there's something there that was put in us to want those things. And so really just helping people see that is all the proof you need and really just being the voice. Like I love this. Well, I don't love it, but like when clients come to me, they're like, I'm so worried about like what all these other people are thinking or saying, or, my husband or significant other or family, they're saying this. And I just feel like I shouldn't do this. And it's like, all you need really is one person to like tell you, no, you should do this. This is a good idea. This is possible. Like, this is why this is all happening. And you can make magic happen. Like just by having one person remind you that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
I think goes a long way. So I'm like at anything, like, I just want to be the person to tell you that you're not crazy for wanting something bigger, for wanting to follow this thing inside of you that you've probably known since you were a kid, and the world's tried to get you to forget about it, but it's there for a reason. And like, I just want to help you get all the crap out of the way so that you can, run after that at full speed. Because a lot of times, I think you said this earlier, it is not even doing some like 30-step ritual and like writing down what you want 100 times and putting it under your pillow at night. Like it's not woo-woo like manifestation. It's really about removing the doubt around what you want and allowing yourself to believe that's possible, because it comes back to like, what if you want to call it delusion, or just having this knowing and just trusting that for long enough. Like if you just hold that belief and you don't let the doubt like overcome it, if you just hold it, you will inevitably get what you want. I always say people don't fail, they just gave up too soon.
Yeah,
So
I could not agree with that more. That is
yeah.
such a valid statement. You know, it's crazy. I think the first thing that I ever manifested, I was at a chiropractor's office, and there was a massage therapist that was kind of like also an intuitive. And I was telling her all about how, you know, we were on this massive home search, and how I really was like getting so tired of getting beat out by all these other bids, and like the right home hadn't really come along. And she's like, I want you to practice something. So she had me get like a piece of paper, and she had me address it to the universe, put the date on it, and then literally write out exactly verbatim what I wanted. And she's like, don't leave anything out. Put down to like the color of the house, the bedrooms, you know, acreage, anything that you want this thing to have. Make sure you put it on paper, and then sign it from yourself, and then put it in your wallet, and make sure it goes with you everywhere you go. Well, literally so soon after I did that, within a week or so, this house hits the market. There was everything we had ever wanted. And it was like, you know, price range wise, we were a little like, oh God, like at the very top, right? But we were like, well, let's just go check it out. We almost didn't go, but there was like some kind of intuition, like go check it out. So it was like right before church, and we're like, let's just go see what's up. So many people were there, of course. I mean, just the whole place was just filled with people. And we get out, we're looking around, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is it. You know, this is the one. But here's where the delusion comes into play. There is 0% reason why we should have gotten this home. There was so many offers. There was all cash offers, and we were offering like a conventional 20% down, that type of thing. But we ended up writing a letter, and you know how people love to do that. They accepted our offer up again. I want to say, I can't say for sure, but I want to say there was like 10 offers. And again, a couple that were all cash. So the fact that we ended up with this home, it was honestly like, to this day, I'm like, you know, it seems like it shouldn't have happened. But things like that have happened to me ever since, because I've chosen to believe, well, why not? Why not? Why couldn't this happen, you know, in my life? And so I'm just here to tell you guys firsthand, this isn't hoopla. Like, this is real. Kate, what is something like in your own life, aside from you creating this amazing business that you've always wanted to, and you're helping so many other people, what would you say is like one of the biggest things that you've ever been able to manifest for yourself?
Yes. Oh, I was just thinking of a similar story as you were explaining yours that just recently actually happened. But I just got a new car. I got a Ford Sport Bronco.
Ooh,
It's a car that's
cute.
been on my, thank you. It's a car that's been on my vision board for like the past 3 years. And I was like, okay, like I could get a new car. Like my car's fine. It's paid off. Like that's great. You know, maybe I'll get a new one. Maybe I won't. And so I had been looking and keeping my eye on things, and kind of just putting out there, like, I'd like a new car, like however that wants to happen, like safely, obviously, like I'm open to it. And so I just kind of been putting it out there. And this also gets very like spiritual and just kind of like a cool, really cool story. But I'd also mentioned this to my dad a few months ago, and my dad actually just passed, as
So
I think you know,
sorry.
Jenny. Yeah.
Yeah.
He passed in December. So long story short, I'd mentioned this to him. He passes in December, and me and my brother, my dad lives in Tennessee. So me and my brother drove down in my Honda Civic, was the car I had before. Loved her. She was my baby.
You're right or die.
Yes. She was like my first car I bought myself. Like, loved her. Went viral on TikTok in her, like all the great things. But so me and my brother drove down to Tennessee for my dad's funeral, and my dad wanted us to take like his Christmas Village stuff.
Oh.
So we loaded my car up with all these boxes from their house and all this stuff. And me and my brother are driving, and all of a sudden a mouse pops out, and I'm like,
In the car?
Yeah. I'm like,
hi, new friend.
Yeah, this is great. So we thought, okay, maybe like one just got in. It was cute. Like, I wasn't scared. I was like, whatever. And then the next day we're driving 10 hours back to Chicago, and a couple more mice pop out. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, I'm assuming they're living in the boxes. Like, this is great. So me and my brother are driving home. They're like, one like runs up his leg, jumps over my foot, like
Oh,
driving
sweet
down the
Jesus. How did you
highway.
not
It
get in an
was,
accident?
I know, I was like, this is not great, but I was like, I know my dad is probably like up there laughing his butt off
Playing
at
tricks on
this.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So I just thought, like, whatever. It's a funny story. So I got home and I was just like so kind of over my car at this point because there was like little mouse poop in
Yeah.
there. I got it washed, but I was just so like detached. I became very detached from my car after that. So I went to the dealership just to like kind of ask questions, see what my options were. And the night before, or kind of just like in general, I had set these very strict boundaries, like similar to you, where I was like, if I'm getting a new car, like it has to be this car, the payment has to be this much, I have to get this amount for my car now. And everyone I told, they were like, there's no way. They're like, just get like a cheaper car. Like, there's no way you're going to get a Bronco for that. There's no way they're going to give you this much for your car. Like, everyone was like, there's no way. And I was like,
Haters.
like, watch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
when
Like,
people tell me there's no way. It's like, oh, well,
exactly. I'm like,
challenge
let's
accepted.
go.
Yeah.
Yes. So went to the dealership, and funny enough, this girl I ran track with in high school worked there. So she comes over and starts helping me. It was the easiest sales process ever. And it was also a random dealership. It wasn't closest to my house. I had an appointment at another one, but for whatever reason, I ended up at this one. And such an easy process. I got the exact car I wanted, and she kind of helped me through all the things. That was another boundary I set, was that I didn't want to get screwed over by a salesperson.
Yes.
So I felt like the fact that I'd manifested someone I knew was also a piece to it. But we went and sat down at her desk, and I had always known her by her full name, and she had this little license plate that her nickname was on, and her nickname she goes by now is Jay, and that was my dad's name.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was like, yeah, so I was like,
Stop
this
you
is
in your
looking
tracks.
yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, hey dad, like, thanks for the help here, like making this super easy. And we went through the process. The payment was under what I was hoping for. They gave me more for my car than I thought I was gonna get. Like,
That's
every
amazing.
criteria was met, and it was the easiest process because I knew her. So it was really insane. And then I
Yes.
got home with my new car. I was all excited, like my vision board's here. And I was looking at the picture boards that I'd made for my dad's funeral. And I didn't even know this picture was on there, but it's him smiling, holding a mouse.
Stop
And I was like,
it.
yeah. So I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
oh, okay, like you
He's
sent
giving
the
you all
mice
the
to,
signs,
like,
girl.
push me, yeah, like push me
Oh.
over the edge to actually go do this, and like helped me through the process. Like, it was very divine, but also like
Wow.
manifested, like every piece of it. So that was a really cool one.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. You know, having that sign so early on after you lost him, and I am so sorry. I'm in that club too, and it is the worst club to be in. But I am so sorry that you went through that. But I think, you know, after those things happen and we get those signs, that there's just no rhyme or reason. There's no other option for why it happened. It just tells you that he's with you and he's watching over you and he's going to keep helping his baby girl. So thank you for sharing that story. I love it. I want you to give everybody an idea of what it's like to work with you. You know, if you're manifesting like a CEO and coming into your program, what does that look like? What are they going to do in your program? How long is the program? What could they expect?
Yes, yes, I love this. So it's a 3-month one-on-one program, and I always say the goal like is really to release self-doubt in 90 days. So again, my approach to manifestation, to rewiring your subconscious and really following this poll isn't about doing more or becoming someone new. It's about releasing the doubt, the limiting beliefs, anything that's made you forget that this is what you're here to do, anything that's trying to, you know, stand in your way between going after it or making you hesitate, or, you know, call in like not aligned people or people that don't want to buy, or, you know, bad leads or whatever. It's way more of like an energy thing than we think. Like, I used to do this. I used to not want to get on sales calls because I would be scared, and I'd be like, I don't want to make a sale, or like I had a subconscious fear of money, or like whatever.
Yeah.
And so I would manifest, like subconsciously attract people who just wouldn't show up for their sales calls.
That's
so I never had to do them. Like, and I think even too, it's like when we think we're charging too much, or we think we're not worth this price, then we manifest, we attract, we align with people in our reality that are like, I'm not paying this. Like,
Yeah.
this is too much. I don't see the value. And it really is like an identity thing. And when we're convicted in what we do, who we are, how we do it, we attract people that are like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Like, take my money, I'm ready to go.
Totally.
And so it's a lot of, releasing the doubt, or like understanding, what is the doubt? What are we afraid of? Like, what do we need to release? Going through the process of rewiring and removing that, and then aligning ourselves and stepping into this identity of, I am aligned with someone who makes this much money, with someone who gets these types of clients, with someone who books these events or gets these brand deals or followers or whatever the goal is. So it's a lot of releasing that doubt in 90 days. And once that's gone, then you're like, oh, okay, like I'm ready to go.
Things just start happening.
Yeah. And things will just kind of fall into place once you kind of put that new filter on in your mind of what to look for. And I'll do a quick little exercise.
Ooh, yeah, let's do it.
Anyone on here. And this isn't my exercise, so I took this from someone else, but I think it really resonates. But if you look around the room right now that you're in and count as many red items as you can, see how many red things you can find.
Okay, I'm already hit 5. There's a lot of red in here. Oh, 6.
Oh, I picked a good color.
Yeah, I'm going 7.
Okay, so how many purple things did you see?
I wasn't looking for purple.
Yes.
So none.
Yeah. Yes. So that exactly right there is kind of, in a simple term, what we're going to do in this program is to wire your brain to see the opportunities. Because I'm sure it's not that there weren't purple things in the room, right? There probably were purple things, but if you're not looking for them, you're not going to find them. You're not going to, go grab them. You're not going to take that opportunity. So it really is programming our mind to start like feeding that delusion that we talked about, and like seeing that, okay, this pull that I have does mean something and I am capable of this. So that was like a fun exercise to kind of exemplify the power that when we change the goals we have for ourselves, or allow ourselves to dream big, or give ourselves permission to look for what we want instead of looking for limitations or, listening to other people, we'll start to see that our dreams are way closer than we think they are.
Absolutely. I actually really love that exercise. It is such a good, eye-opener to what we don't see because we're so narrowly focused on one goal. So I really appreciate what you do. And like I said, with you, yes, when I first found you on social media, I was looking for a manifestation coach to come in and help my coaching clients. But quickly I saw how talented you were, and not just through the amazing presentations you've done in my program, but through specifically one of my clients who, to this day, I mean, anytime I talk to her about her success, there's not a time that we chat that your name isn't mentioned. She really strongly attributes major change in her business and her life to the work that you guys did together in those 3 months. And so for anybody listening today, this isn't just for a certain type of person. This is for everybody. And it's for somebody who's ready to just unlock different parts of your life that, again, they may be the purple parts, right? You may be so focused on the red parts, you're not even seeing purple. But what if purple is what's really meant for you and is going to give you the most fulfillment that you are seeking? And so like Kate said, whether you're coming into this for things that could be entrepreneurial, or whether it's life, relationship, just overall things that you need help having a new tune-up in your own brain, I want you to strongly consider having a one-on-one. So Kate, will you be doing, I'm going to put it in the show notes, but I just want to make sure, after this podcast, for all these people who are pumped up and excited and ready to get on the Kate train, how can they contact you? It'll be in the show notes, but what does that look like? Do they get a one-on-one session to kind of help them see how this could help them?
Yes. I will make sure that you have the link for this. But yeah, I would encourage you guys, if you're at all interested, or you just kind of want to see how this could work or what this would look like for, your particular goals, I offer free strategy sessions so we can sit down and really just chat and be like, all right, if there was something that came up in this session where you're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even realize this, or this is something I'm really interested in, or I've always felt like maybe this is something, like let's dive into it, let's chat about it. And, if it is something that you want to continue working on, we can look at what that option would look like. If you want to get into the Manifested CEO, 3 months of that one-on-one coaching and really, go from 0 to 100 real quick. But either way, just having like that initial strategy session to kind of just dig a little deeper and get some reflection going there, and some a new perspective on some things can always be helpful. So my virtual door is always open for those. So I encourage you guys to book a call there.
I do too. I don't think any single person listening to this shouldn't do the strategy call. I mean, just see what she's about. See if you guys vibe. See if there's things that you guys can talk about that she really believes she could help you with. I am so invested in 2026 and to stop settling. Like that is like my mantra. Stop settling, Thank you for the snaps. I just want to let myself become this year, right? And I think that, working with you could be a great way to do that for myself and for everybody else. I really, really appreciate you being here today. I have seen your work firsthand. I would shout it from the rooftops to anybody who asked me. But I really do think that you could make such a huge difference in people's lives. So, Kate, thank you for being a guest on Girl, Why Not You today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jenny, for all the kind words. I loved this conversation. Our conversations, I feel like, always just hit the right spots, and we're just getting all the topics out there. So thank you for having me, and just thank you for all the work you do, and just being so like fiery. I'm like trying to think of a word that'll encapsulate it, but it's like fiery, iconic, supportive, like all the things.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so great. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And for everybody listening today, thank you for tuning in. And as always, when you're listening to how Kate is changing people's lives, people who are doing the work, I want you to picture yourself and I want you to say, girl, why not you? If something in this episode made you sit up a little straighter or dream a little bigger, don't ignore it. That's your future nudging you. I'm living proof that you can start messy, start scared, start in the worst timing, and still create something beautiful. Thank you for listening to Girl, Why Not You? Now go take one small step towards the life you've been craving. Hit subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and share this with someone who's ready for more.